And I'd like to start by acknowledging we're on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people who have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. And with that, we have one addition to the agenda, which is 8.2, development variance. Is there anything else that needs to be added? With that, can we get a motion to adopt the agenda? With the one addition?
So, sorry, Mayor, is this from our public hearing? Is that what this is for?
No, this is a new variance being requested.
Motion to adopt.
You'll make the,
Do we have a 17.1? Are we discussing something in confidentiality? Do we know?
no,
Okay. I would like to add 17.1 then, please.
okay. Yeah, we could add a 17.1. And it's time sensitive?
Yes, yes, it is. It's the emails that have come out in the last yesterday, to all of council. And a couple of weeks ago, bunched them together, want to discuss them. Please.
I don't see how that falls under the freedom of information requirements to go in Canada.
Because it deals with personnel bill,
And what section of the FOIP legislation would that
17.
be more specific?
I can't, I mean, we have not been more specific in the past. It's section 17, it's personnel, it's the same items that we've always talked about.
Right, council at its last meeting directed administration to provide further clarity when a confidential item is being put on, such as land acquisition, hospital land, so.
So, leadership personnel matters. How would you like me to title that?
If it involves me, are you saying?
Only leadership that we're responsible for, so yes.
Okay, then I leave it up to the chair whether he wishes to deal with that in camera.
Well, it has to be in camera, otherwise,
Right, there are certain requirements under the Municipal Government Act that deal specifically with me.
Yeah.
So that involves termination of my employment. So if it's other than that, or a personnel evaluation, there's no rationale to go in camera.
you want us to discuss it publicly?
No, I'm just saying there's no rationale to go in camera.
Okay. So how do we discuss matters that need to come up that are with our only one employee, the CAO?
I'll leave that up to council.
Okay,
If
so
they want to deal with
Chair,
it.
I'll ask you, how do we discuss it?
Well, like we've done before, if there's issues, so we can have a discussion about them. I think that's very reasonable to have a discussion.
I mean, it sounds bad, it's not about him, it's just, it's points for discussion, how do we do that? What is our format?
Well, it is to talk about them, but I don't know if there's anything pressing, but anything else would be 2 weeks from now, right? That's the issue.
And it's already been weeks, so I feel like we've not addressed it, and
You said it was emails today?
mainly because you've not been around, right, so I didn't wanna, without members of council, I'm just wondering how else you want to bring it onto the agenda, or what better format is.
No, I'm all right with having a discussion.
I would encourage the chair to seek a legal opinion before you do that.
Okay.
Legal opinions discuss our one employee and to have a conversation.
But you know what, I think we'll allow it, and then if it's going somewhere where we don't want it to go, then we can put an end to it in camera and then come out and decide where we wanna go from there. So we can sort of open it up, have a discussion, see where it's going, and then go from there. All right, so we've got the two additions. Anything else? Councillor Yashishin, you'd need a motion to adopt the agenda with, do you want to amend it with these two additions?
With the two additions.
Okay. Oh, and I should mention to everybody that we've got Councillor Dunn is online. Unfortunately, our TV and broadcast system met with an unfortunate circumstance. And so it's no longer working with us right now. But he is here, and so John, we'll call for a vote. I'll look for your hand and go from there.
Sorry, I'm trying to hear our discussion.
Yeah, did you catch the two additions, John?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, if you need clarification as we're going along, please ask, because I know it's very difficult to hear when you're online. Yeah. All right, all in favor? Carried. And moving on then to no scheduled delegations, so public delegations. And I see there's people here, so I suspect there's people that want to come up and talk. So just as a reminder that you have 5 minutes and to, express any concerns that you have to council. And okay. Yeah, and we can get a brief summary of what you're here for, and also to please give your name, and if you represent a company or something, to give that so we know how to tie you in. So I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, my name is Jeff McKay, and I'm a citizen here, concerned with how things are going. And I'm just getting to the point where we're going to have to start keeping our own record of the minutes of these meetings, because I've seen a number of errors, omissions, and signing off on minutes that have no errors, to me is, well, that's actually getting into legal stances there where you're actually signing off on documents that aren't complete. So I think we're going to have to start going through them ourselves and posting our own minutes of what actually happens. That also goes for going back on things that are said, changing stories, that kind of thing. Now, I'd actually have a question for the mayor. I'd like to know what the official town policy is based on the past history of this year in particular. I'm doing background criminal checks for all employees of the town. And if it's like an annual or every second year, like a lot of towns have.
I can just speak for our one employee. I don't want to speak for what we do with all of our employees.
Well, that's what the question is. What is there a statute for all employees to get? Because you can't just pick an employee.
Yeah, I will turn that over to our CEO perhaps.
Well, the question was for you.
Well, I don't want to speak on how we address each and every one.
Isn't that your job? Like, I'm asking you what the policy is on hiring town employees.
I can tell you what the policy is for our council when we hire a CAO. I do not want to speak out of term on what we hire for each and every employee, because we have lots of different employees and doing lots of
Towns
different things.
have blanket things. They have a criminal every 2 years. Bus drivers have to do every year, I think it is. There are blanket, don't.
Is that a policy you've read?
No,
Okay.
that's why I'm asking you what the town policy
I
is.
don't want to
I couldn't find it. You don't want to say?
Well, I don't know for sure, so I don't want to speculate.
Okay, well this is one of those times where not answering questions is another issue that's coming up in these meetings.
Well, one of the things I will say is, you know, if you have questions, we can't always answer them right off here. And usually, we can respond after, but if we don't know, we don't know right off.
Well, you don't come back either, like I've never heard an answer come back, but one you don't answer and then you come back next month. There never seems to be a feedback on, well, we looked into this and this is what it is. So I find this concerning and disheartening.
Well, I don't know how to answer that other than to say I do not know for sure. So I don't want to say, I mean, maybe one other counselor knows all of the policies on all of our staff.
That's a pretty important one, I think you probably would know it, but anyway, another answer with a non-answer, so thank you.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds. So what is our policy? Does anyone, what is our policy? Are you able to tell, or what's our policy for just our one employee?
He just wants me to answer, so I guess I shouldn't.
Okay, but I'm curious,
I don't
what's our policy for our one employee, or Phil can maybe answer for his staff?
Yeah.
It should be fair. Does anyone know here on council what's our policy for our employee?
So I believe, you know, the delegation has done their request for information. Council should not be debating and entertaining discussion on an item that isn't on the agenda. So I'll leave it at that, but it's up to the chair.
Well, it's difficult if you're put on the spot and you misspeak at all and then it gets twisted around, if you don't know. So I think we can make sure that if you come back next week, we can have an answer for you, or at our next council meeting. It's a fair question, I just don't know the answer. And to make sure that we have it in front of us so that we can answer. All right.
I'm Tracy Shikawi. I own a business in High Prairie, for those of you who don't know me. On September 7th, 2023, a special meeting of council was held. It was not posted on the list of meetings on the town website until today, and I know this for a fact because I was on that site all day. And there was no adoption of the minutes for that meeting until March 12th, 2024. So could you explain to me why the minutes weren't adopted at the September 12th, 2023 meeting, but instead took 6 months to show up on the agenda?
The minutes were, it was just an in-camera meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And the minutes were not recorded, which was something that we should have done. They were in terms of recorded on paper, but they weren't put into and posted on the website. So that is.
My concern isn't about what the meeting was about. That's irrelevant. It was in camera.
Yep.
Fine. What gets me is that it took 6 months though for the minutes to be adopted from that meeting. You can remember what happened in that meeting 6 months after the fact? That seems to be a long time to be going between adopting a meeting and adopting the minutes for that meeting.
Point taken. Thank you.
Lori McKay, citizen. This is addressing the mayor and the council. I've attended more than 6 town council meetings. At almost every single one, there have been additional costs being added to the budgets. After seeing from the meeting where the budgets were being presented, it becomes very clear to me why there's always being additional things put in. There's no details. There's a budget figure, it's a lump sum budget figure. Even on like this one item here, power backup. At the last meeting that I attended, if I hadn't been there, I would not have known you meant that as a generator. It doesn't say that anywhere. It doesn't say the size generator, it doesn't say the make, the model. It has no information about all what's involved in this. It just says $400,000 for power backup. Very little details. That is very, very difficult, and I can't see how any one of you can actually be voting on a budget without those kind of details. That's important. You don't know whether or not there's some security, a protection, whether it be from, the exterior elements, also the size of generator. It may even need a concrete pad to be set upon. These details are not there. All you got is a lump sum total. And that is why you're always going to be running into problems. I remember as well an article in the South Peace News about the fact that you guys signed off on a contract with Green for Life and had no idea about what their contract states. And as a result, we've got bins for recycling, people go in and sort everything out, and it turns out they're actually going direct, in most cases, direct to the dump. So there's no even sense having those bins there. And that's at their discretion. So we need more details. Everybody needs more details so they know exactly what they are making choices about budgets for and how this number comes about. And this is addressing the mayor only. Several times, okay, today you didn't, that happened just a few minutes ago, but several times you have answered questions, giving details in an official capacity, and then you retract it or you renege on it, but you don't seem to have a command of what you need to know. And the examples are like the hospital land, the theft done by a town employee, the CAO's use of a town truck that's been parked on his home, and the comments are that you aren't aware of these things, or like they should be aware, or that you made comments. It's important that today you handled it probably better than you have since any of the meetings, is where you're saying, okay, I don't have the facts, I will respond later once we have a handle on that. And that is probably appropriate, although there are plenty of things that you should be able to answer. Even though it is kind of like off the spur of the moment, there's certain things that with regards to policy, and I'm going to address or comment on, I guess. The idea is that there should be a blanket policy for having a criminal background check for all employees at standard issue. I do know that, for example, bus drivers, before they get hired on, a criminal background check, including, what's that word? It has to do with children. A vulnerable check has to be done. And that's standard with every employee that comes in. And I think that the town should have the standard, whatever. And it's not particular to anybody, it's particular to everybody. So anyways, I think I'll leave it at that at this point. There was one other comment that I had. I was expecting something different. Normally, okay, I'm just gonna have to go into it. Frequently I find that coming into these meetings, what should be done is that you're the chair, you the mayor, and the council members. And yet, a lot of cases you defer or before the CEO steps in. So my question in actual fact is, who is the chair? Who is in charge of these meetings? Is it the mayor and council, or is it the CAO?
I'm the chair of the meeting, and I can get advice from our CAO or advice from other members of council.
And I can understand getting advice, but in most cases, I find the CAO takes over and he ends up being the chair. So I just want to make sure that we all know who is in fact the chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I know this isn't easy, and I appreciate you being here. Tammy Kalita, resident. I'm disturbed a bit about what was on the front of the paper today, and I just got some couple questions. It says here that Brian Panasek, Mayor, John Dunn, and Therese Janish have not responded to the question if they knew about the $148,000 offer AHS made to the town of High Prairie in April. Can I get a response from you three tonight, if you knew about it in April? Therese?
I believe Tammy was, it was answered actually quite some time ago. So, and I think it was answered directly from the mayor.
No, but I just want to know personally.
And so it
Did
would
you
have been a
know about it?
council, so it would have been a council decision. I would have to go back to it hall and go back to all my notes and see, before I just.
But four
speak
council
on
members have
something,
said
right?
they didn't know about it, so I'm just wanting
Yeah,
to get confirmation from you if you
I'm
thought
not-
you know or did not know.
I'm not aware of that, because I haven't talked to them personally, I just only know by what I do and what I know, so.
And Mayor?
I do know that council did say we did not want to purchase the land. Okay, so that was something that I can say for sure.
But you won't answer it from a personal point of view, whether you actually personally knew about it in April.
I did personally know that we had the discussions in it. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And John?
I don't know if John can hear, but John, they were just.
I heard the question, and my statement is that yes, I was aware, and, yeah, so. I think that was what she asked, were you aware? So I was
Okay.
aware.
Good. Who wrote the letter of decline to the government to decline the offer?
Was our CAO.
Okay. And has the council designated
No,
authority to the CAO to
Oh,
make?
sorry, it was not a letter, just to be clear, that, so it's not mistaken.
Okay, so it wasn't in writing.
It wasn't writing, but it was an email
An email.
response, yeah.
Okay. Did council, all of council, and I'm gonna poll you guys, know that the CAO was directed to do this on behalf of the town? Judy?
Tammy, I can't recall. There were discussions, the dates, I cannot tell you the dates and the times they were.
Mhm.
I go, because I referred to minutes and notes that were taken to refresh my memory. And the only notes that I could actually speak to would be actually, I can't speak to any of the notes.
Okay. So in Rick McGuire's letter to Sharon, he states that he received it on May 18th. So this would have been prior to that. So Sasha, did you know that the CAO was directed to write a letter of decline of offer to?
You know, Tammy, that was many, many months ago. Unless it's a motion of council, we direct our CAO by a motion. And I looked at my notes, there were no motions, so I don't know when we directed that, but again, I can't speak without going and doing further investigation.
Okay. Brian?
Same response that we've had several discussions on the hospital land, and I do know for sure that council was not in favor of purchasing the land.
But if 4 people didn't know about it, that's majority, so that means the 3 of you, Therese, you and John, were the only 3 that knew about it and would have directed the CAO to make that decision, to send the email.
What you're getting out of there is not entirely true, I don't believe, because I
Okay.
know we've had discussions.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yes. But I know we've got, our 5 minutes is up, and I understand what your question is, and you're trying to get an idea, and I think we've sort of supplied that for you.
Okay, but to my 5 minutes, it has been taken up with councilors' answers as well.
Answers should come.
And is that part of my 5 minutes?
It is part of your 5 minute, like your concern is that council know, and we did, I think it's fair to say.
Okay, well, I just wanted to know if it's in the CAO's job description to make these kind of decisions on his own, or if it's directed by council, and you've answered that, that it's directed by council,
I could say that it is not the CAO's,
even
does
though
not act on his own and something like this. It was
it's not part of
council
his
that
job description then, to do those things. All right, thank you.
Just for clarification, I want to make sure everyone, including council members, know I act only on the direction of council.
And not 1 or 2 people, you can just.
Is this on? Red lights on?
Red lights on.
Hi, I'm Boyd Gibb. I'm not I don't live in town, I live near town, but I own businesses and property in town. And just to be clear, I am thankful the town did not buy property. Because my belief is that you do not belong in land development. It's not your expertise. Your expertise is to govern. So thank you for not buying the land. And did anyone in council absolutely know that the land would have been purchased for the price that it was purchased for? No, nobody could have ever foreseen that. When somebody develops that land, will the town get property taxes forever from that land? Kind of a no-lose situation, right? Can we put that one to bed for a while? What a waste of time. Thank you.
All right, anybody else wish to address council?
James Oak, resident. I just going through your page there of councilors and what boards they sit on. When is that updated?
The council each October goes to different boards.
Okay. So if say which one do I have here? I've got Sasha here by chance, and Disaster Service Committee. So she stays on that. So if she removes herself, is that removed off this site as well? Or when is that?
So are you asking when is the website updated after
Yes.
the?
Yeah, if, say Sasha steps down from one of the committees, when is that updated again?
It should be updated after we have our meeting on the website.
Oh. Okay. So, who is deputy mayor?
Deputy mayor is Sasha Martins.
Not according to your page. That's why I'm just curious. So I'm just, going through different things. So I've checked once a week just to see if it's been updated or not. And that's why I was just asking if somebody, steps down or conflict of interest or whatever on any of the committees, if it's been updated, or if it gets updated, and if so, when. So that, you know, it goes back, to me, it goes back to who do I trust now? Because there's no clarification. Because that's what I was looking just to see if anything's on there, and yourself, well, you don't have your name tag, but I know you're mayor. So. But that's what I'm just looking at, because it does not say you're mayor, it does not say CAO in that sense, so that's what I was just wondering. But that's why I was curious as to when these profiles are updated.
Your point is well taken, that our website is not as up to date as it should be, and I mean, that's one example, and.
Yeah, well, that's what
We
I'm just
know
curious
many
about.
others where it needs to get improved, and, we need to find a way to make that happen.
Okay. That's all for now. The others is as it comes up, which is, what building projects or what, street upgrades, stuff like that, which is minor.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, so.
So, for the record, everybody on council, I voted for each and every one of you.
Sir, can you just start off?
Darcy
with your
Foster,
name
resident,
And
sorry.
and maybe a brief summary of what your topic is, just.
Our petition of recall. I voted for every one of you.
Well, but I
In
mean,
faith.
just to be clear, coming in here for a petition recall is not really appropriate.
Well, I don't know where else to address it, Brian.
You can address any concerns you have of council, that's fine, but to come in and, address a recall that you are personally doing, it shouldn't be coming to.
And that's what I want to address, because it's not personal. There's a whole bunch of people that are taking it as personal. Like I said, I had 100% faith in you guys. That's why I cast my vote the way I did. It's not personal, it's business. Now, you guys can take it whatever way you want to take it. That's entirely up to you. I respected each and every one of you. I still attempt to, under the circumstances. I don't recall when I signed the paperwork anywhere where I said it was okay to post my number. Maybe that was part of the paperwork. As I said, that day I was sick. I was basically a process server. I don't have the bread in my pocket to go blow $1,500 to get rid of people that I have worked with in the past. More so, somebody that is very important to the community and other offices besides being the mayor. And Mr. Dunn, as far as I'm concerned, of every person in this room, has the single most important job in here. He's supposed to be maintaining and taking care of our children. And I don't know why he's not here again, but it saddens me because I don't think he's doing justice to this position or to that one, unfortunately. But that's just my opinion. And I know they're like belly buttons, everybody's got one. There's been
Just one point of clarification, that Councillor Dunn is here, he's online with us right now.
I really wish that was an option when Councillor Carrier was still with us, because he had a lot of passion for this town too. But when he didn't show his face in here for several meetings, he was asked to step down. I'm not sure what the exact rules here are. I guess it just depends on who. I don't know.
Well, I think Councillor Carrier's situation was different, but we'll leave it at that. It wasn't just because he missed some meetings, but.
But, like I said, it wasn't personal, it wasn't just me coming half-cocked, I was approached and asked to put that down. I have a few concerns, but unfortunately, I only have about a minute and a half left. A lot of the stuff was addressed. I am curious on a few things, raises, etc. 17% raises, that seems a little opulent to me. I'm sitting here looking at the RCMP, and most of those guys are driving at best a Ford Explorer or a similar size. I'm of the understanding from what I was looking at, and I've heard that we're going to be spending $100,000 on a Tahoe when we have perfectly serviceable units still in our peace officer. And it's nothing to do with our peace officer himself. I didn't realize that we had that kind of cash to float around in an economy where most of us are struggling, and now we're going to have another tax hike. And I can't afford to do that. I'm driving a 1997 Dodge that's rusting apart from underneath me, and I'm just glad to have wheels under my bunk. And there's just some expenses that I just can't seem to justify. And it's just beyond me how we are continually doing this without what I see as any justification for it. Like I said, Ryan, you're looking a little upset, and it's not personal. I'm just asking the questions, and it just doesn't make sense to me. There's a few other things, but we're going to probably have to step down, and because I'm 3 seconds over my time here. But there are some things that I have found out, and I'll just end with the fact that it was mentioned before. It troubles me that we don't vet our people that are, I don't care if you're a high school kid with access to a gas card to the UFA, or the CEO, mayor, deputy mayor, councillors. If you got anything to do with money, I think we should be preemptively doing across-the-board criminal record checks and doing it once a year. And reason being, and I will explain as to why, I worked for the former owners of the big sawmill here in town. And one of their drivers got himself an impaired in Grand Prairie. And that's where he appeared in court, and that's where it all happened. I found out from a friend of mine who was reading the Grand Prairie docket, and she explained to me, hey, this guy, you worked with him. I said, yeah. She says, this is an old newspaper, it's about a year old. And he was still currently actively driving a truck, carrying 63,500 kilograms of weight behind him. If he had any screw up at all, not only would the insurance go after the Buchanan family, but that would have cost how many people their jobs because of everything being pulled up from underneath them, lawsuits, everything else. So with that said, I'd just like to know that we are going through and making sure that we can at least, at the very least, the very minimum, trust our hires. I'm not saying everybody's a crook. I'm not saying anybody's a crook. But at this point, I think that due diligence should definitely weigh out. Does anybody on council have a problem with giving up a criminal record check if you're signing off on bank statements or checks or anything?
all right, thank you. Yeah, you're over your time, and your point is taken about the criminal record checks and other things.
So,
Thank you.
for sure.
All right. Anyone else?
I just had a quick question. Good evening, sir, I'm Mike.
scuff things quickly, I'm hoping that, if I could, can I pass this on to you, just to submit it to council? What that is, it's printed off the internet from the little community of Boyle. And it's just, it demonstrates how a town and a council, if open with the community, can avoid a lot of criticism and hardship. My opinion is, for what it's worth, you guys continually to set yourself up to be criticized. And certainly in light of what's been printed in the paper today, there's a lot more criticism coming. But what I passed on over there, that's where we need to get to in this community. It's just an open document. It's available on the internet. It's posted on the Boyle website. And it just outlines the expenditures by council. And there's no secrets. It's just open, transparent communication. And we're lacking that in this community. We have been for quite some time. And the root of all of this and the anger is simply that. There's no disclosure, there's no transparency. Again, over the weekend, budget discussions, no engagement from the community, no involvement. It's all behind closed doors and a group of 2 or 3 individuals making all the decisions. We've never granted you the right to do that. The community gets to make those decisions. And it's only fair. There's no secrets, there's just nothing wrong with it. It's just the right way for you guys to do business. And on that note, at last week's discussion, the question was asked, how much would the recall cost? You guys cost out a number of $10,000. What I'm most interested in is the cost that the taxpayers incurring because of the legal action being taken and the investigation of the council that you guys have done. What's that going to cost us? And what's the outcome of that? Is that a number that can be shared?
Well, not at this point in time. We don't know what it is for sure. And because it is confidential at this point.
Well, the spending amount shouldn't be.
It is at this point.
Yeah. At some point it won't be, it'll be disclosed. Yeah. Well, have a look at this, Brian. The aim is to get to this point in our community, where there's open discussion, transparent communication with the community, and we're given a fair opportunity to provide some input and stay involved in the capital planning decisions and budget decisions. That's where we need to get to. And a lot of this could have been and should have been avoided if we had open communication with the community. Fair enough?
Fair enough, thank you. Yeah. All right, anyone else before we move on? All right, thank you. Some good comments there. We'll move on then to our peace officers report. Can I get a motion on this one?
The council receives the senior peace officers February 2024 report information.
Evening, Mayor, Council. Nothing out of the ordinary other than 190 dog license renewals we sent out in January, 35 were sent out in February for follow-up. Dog license, municipal tags were sent with those. Parking issues, tickets were issued. Other than that, I'm open for any questions council may have.
All right, thank you. Anyone with questions? Councilor Santos.
Can you give me a bit more information on the parking? Is that on Highway 2 where these parking violations took place?
No, these were on Tim Hortons Road.
Oh.
On the south side of the road, it's on parking, where people seem to think it's still, that's where I should be.
Is there good signage there to let them know?
Yeah, yellow curb and posted signs, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? I had one question, and it was, a resident brought it up to me, and the concern is around the spring fire hazard coming and, trying to make our community as safe as possible. His observation was that there's some old vehicles that are abandoned in some of the yards, and if a fire gets into town, those would be a fire hazard and expand. Is there any opportunity to, or have we been looking to try to have those vehicles removed, or working with maybe McSteel to see if we can run a campaign to see if they can clean up some of the old vehicles that might be in backyards and what, those sorts of things?
They'll be on a case by case, unsightly notice, yeah. I've been in touch with the administration at McSteel. They gave me a proof of purchase, or proof of ownership that the owner of the vehicle has to fill out. They fill it out, they submit it, so they know that there's no liens, there's no other issues with the vehicle, and they'll come and pick it up. And, as soon as they sign that ownership and release form, then McSteel will come and pick it up.
That's wonderful news. And have you been sort of passing that information along to people that might have those vehicles?
I have been waiting for the thaw, because most of them are still frozen in, but I will be starting that.
Wonderful. Okay. Councillor Stenhouse?
So that just triggered another thought of mine. So what about that vehicle that's in between the old theater and stuff? It's all boarded in there. Is there any
Between
chance
the
that,
whole thing.
Well, between Frankfurt Center and the
yeah,
that black car,
yeah,
the one that was parked on the street for 6 years, now it's parked between the buildings.
yeah.
I was wondering where it went.
And it's boarded.
It's boarded up. It's hard to see. They boarded it in between two buildings.
I can check. I don't,
Yeah. That would be great.
see.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Councillor Martins?
Along the same lines of fire hazards, thank you for your report, by the way, Alan. This is too early now, but what about all that brush that's dry and brittle, and is that us, the town, or is that you that would enforce some of that back alley, backyard?
That's an issue I can address, yeah. So, yeah, we'll,
We got notification, I think, this week that the fire season has started early, and there's 55 or 56 or some odd fires, Can we accelerate some of those notices, or?
yeah, I can send them, issue the notices.
I think a lot of that is just some education and what could happen, and getting people to look after some of that would be great, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Do kind of like a fire prevention blitz.
Well, they are in our newsletter that just went out, but that kind of thing going out again too, to help. Those are the messages that we're into for what could be a very dry and big fire season. So, yeah, thanks for what you can do in that.
Good.
Anything else for, no? Right, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And your report.
You vote on it now?
All in favor? It's carried. Moving on then to minutes from March 12th. Can I get a motion? motion on this? Counselor Dunn? Oh, you're still on mute. Happens once a meeting, it doesn't matter what happens.
Am I on mute still?
Nope.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. The council approved the minutes from the March 12th, 2024 regular meeting of council as presented.
All right, is there any errors or omissions, alterations that need to happen? Okay, I see some nods. Councilor Stenhouse?
So for 5.1 confirmation of minutes, I requested a recorded vote.
Yep.
Minutes do not reflect that.
Okay, do we have the results of the recorded vote? We do.
I'm pretty sure I took them down last meeting.
Sorry?
I think so, yeah, they should be on the,
And be
My
on the
minutes.
recording?
yes.
Yeah, okay, so good catch on that one. So we can add that in. Anything else? Oh, Councilor Martins and Councilor Wakefield.
Sorry, as I mentioned to Bailey earlier, I just wanted to get on the record, Bailey, as you suggested, the naming convention, for example, 16.3, just to get the deputy mayor consistent as opposed to on and off. Did you need me to go into more detail, Bailey, or was that good?
I see what you're saying. Some places it says deputy mayor and then other places just council. Okay. Consistently put in. Okay. Councilor Wakefield?
Given that, I mean, that's an easy fix. But not having the results of the recorded vote in here, we want to hold on to approving these until next meeting so they can be, in front of us correct before we actually approve it, because right now, if we approve this and we don't have the proper recorded vote in there, right? So it would be my suggestion that we, I don't know, is tabling the right word for table these minutes until next meeting when they're corrected.
Yes.
That would, I'm not sure who made the motion.
That was Councilor Dunn that made the motion, and Councilor Dunn, did you hear the? No?
No, I heard bits and pieces of that.
I'll try and speak up.
I know that feeling, it's horrible at that end, but the suggestion was because we wanted to, there was an amendment to the recorded vote to make sure that it's showing correctly, that we should table the minutes until we get that recorded vote showing so that it can be verified by others versus approving it now when we don't know exactly what that was going to read.
All right.
So would you like to make a friendly amendment to your motion that we table it?
Yeah, I will make a friendly amendment stating that we'll table this motion until we can correctly get the votes.
Okay.
I don't think we have to vote on that, right? It's just a table.
No, I think we should vote that we table it, right? And we want to table it.
Is that the proper
I
process?
believe it is.
I don't think so, not when you table something.
I think when it's tabled, it's just done.
We should vote to table it, no?
Yeah, well,
No, I think it's just when it's the table that we're tabling it, we're gonna revisit it at the next meeting.
Okay.
but these records show that we tabled it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the motion to table it, and it'll come back to our next meeting.
In the past, we did do a vote, so it would say approved, tabled, defeated, tabled.
Okay. Keep it consistent, whatever.
So we have a motion to table it, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to our March 18th minutes.
I'll move that we accept as presented.
Okay. I would, like to see a couple of changes to this, just so for clarification, if somebody's looking at these in the future, it makes a little more sense in, because I know right now the minutes, if you don't have the agenda with it and you just look at the minutes, it's hard to sort of understand what was going on. So I would like to see that there's a little bit more about what was the purpose of this meeting, the purpose of the minutes, and then was there any presentations for, like, and I know there was none, but to put the word none received, no written presentations against, none received, presentations from the floor for, that's really good, that one was made, and presentations against, maybe we could just say that there was no presentations against, just to make sure that it's, if somebody's just looking at the minutes, they knew what the purpose of this meeting was, and that there was nothing received in those sections, as opposed to just leaving them blank and not being sure.
Then we can table this until next meeting as well. I'd be okay with checking for that.
I'm in favor of table minutes.
Okay.
It's just minutes, right? Like, so, yeah. So I'll change my motion to table this until our next council meeting when it's filled out as per suggested.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to, speaking of land use amendments, 6.1. Get a motion on this.
I'll grab that. The council gives second reading to bylaw 02-2024 to amend the land use bylaw 15-2015 on this 26th day of March 2024.
All right, thank you.
I believe council cannot deal with his item since the minutes from the public meeting, or notes from the public meeting have not been received by council. Therefore, I would not recommend the council proceed to second or third reading.
But we know what the results were.
Council has not adopted the public meeting notes or has not received the public meeting notes.
And
We haven't received them, we just haven't voted on them.
yeah, I know what is warning that, this hasn't been received, but we had people there was nobody that spoke against those minutes or against the development at all. And then if we hold it up for 2 weeks, is there, from the developer's perspective, is there issues with that, or do they need to move quicker, or do you know?
I would imagine the proponent wishes to move forward with it. Again, I'm just cautioning council that if it's challenged later on, there could be difficulties with second and third reading of the bylaw. As an alternative, when we do break eventually, administration could amend the notes, and council could reconsider the meeting notes from the public meeting.
Okay, yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, I would like to make sure that we're not holding up any development and improvements there. I do see your concerns, so maybe we can, I like the idea that we get those, because the motions were, there was no real motions, there was nobody speaking against it, but to approve them, and then we've got our honorable lots covered. We can do that and bring it back. We're all right? All right, so
Can we, then let's just do that now. Let's call it, what do you,
a break and.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Get that typed up, revisit those minutes.
Council,
We have one motion on the floor.
Yeah.
But maybe what I'm thinking is we can pass second reading, get the other ones, to get the notes.
Okay.
And then do third and final reading.
or alternatively, council could amend minutes of the March 18th to include that there were no, under 3.3, no written presentations, under 3.4,
Be specific.
no written presentations. Again, I don't believe the mayor participated in that meeting.
No.
So that's, you should exclude yourself.
Yes, yeah, I wasn't there, but I just think that those minutes
Right.
need to be there.
Right, so if that's what council wishes to do, you could just do that now, and it would be reflected in the public meeting notes.
Okay, so we carried a motion to
Okay,
table it.
first of all, we gotta finish the motion I made, which is second reading.
Yeah.
Let's vote on.
And then we can finalize it before third and final reading. Everybody all right with that?
Well, we have to go back to these public, to the public meeting.
We're only at second reading.
No, I realize that, but we want to pass this tonight.
Yeah,
So we'll do the second reading,
Yes,
then we go
we'll
back.
go back, fix these minutes.
yes.
I didn't realize when I did that this would hold everything up. If I had, I wouldn't. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't think any of us did at that point.
Yeah, and just cautioning council under the procedural bylaw,
Yeah,
Just to make sure.
no, that's fair.
prior to second or third reading, council must receive the results of the public hearing.
Okay.
So we have the second reading, all in favor? Opposed? 2, so it passes. And we'll go back to our minutes for the March 18th meeting. And perhaps we can get a motion with those amendments that were suggested.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Do we have to read it from the table? No, it's just take, pull it up anytime, right? Okay. Okay, so my motion is to approve the special meeting public hearing minutes from March 18th with the following additions. Under 3.3, that there were no written presentations for the bylaw. Under 3.4, that there was no written presentations against the bylaw. And under 3.6, that there was no presentations from the floor against the bylaw.
And the purpose.
And the purpose of the meeting, so then, and then on the purpose of hearing to, public hearing, discussing the land use. Amendment number 2.
In regards to bylaw 14-225.
Okay, so amend, number 2, public hearing, special meeting council to amend bylaw 052015, right? 0224. Oh, right, okay. 02224. To adopt. Okay. Is that clear as mud, Bailey?
So the rest of council, do you understand what's done?
We're adding the detail.
yes.
Do you want more detail on it?
No, I would like to ask that a copy of the correct minutes be also provided in our next agenda.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept that from the amendment.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? All in favor? All right, so we've got that done. And we go back to 6.1, talking specifically about the third reading. Anybody want to make a motion on this? Councilor Martins.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 02-2024 to amend the land use bylaw 15-212015 on this 26th day of March 2024.
All right, any questions or comments on this one? Great to see development happening. All in favor? It's carried. Moving on then to 8.1.
Oh, can I just ask on 6.1, so this developer will be notified as soon as possible that this has passed and given stamp of approval?
That's a given.
Well, I want to make a motion that he is notified that it's a good to go as soon as possible.
Okay, I can make that motion. Did you capture that? Any questions on that? Councilor Martins?
Sorry, I had it on, sorry about that. Would you accept Councilor Stenhouse a friendly amendment to be specific? Do you want it by the end of this week, by tomorrow, by Monday,
Oh,
by Tuesday?
Yes, I would, this is time sensitive, I would like it 2 business days.
They've been notified within 2 business days.
I would suggest through council that there are some other procedural issues related to this, so that specific motion may not be able to be complied with. So
It's just notifying him that the land use bylaw has been amended and approved.
that's right, but it hasn't been duly executed by the mayor and myself. Until that point, it's not adopted.
But I guess it's notification that it was approved and will be adopted in the near future. That's fine. Yeah, okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 8.1, town policies. Can I get a motion on this one? Councillor Dunn.
Administration report back on the review timelines related to the existing town policies.
All right, thank you for that. And I think I'll just say that, we're getting, for people out there, we're trying to make sure all of our policies and procedures are up to date. And this is one of those opportunities to make sure we have a good review schedule done for them. But with that, I'll turn it over to our CAO to anything else you wanted to add to this.
Again, not particularly, of the 65 plus policies that are on the town's website, numerous of them are not current or maybe not in compliance with existing regulations or directions that council's provided through other mechanisms. So this would provide a forum to ensure that all policies of the town do go through a review cycle during the term of the council. good number, like 63 of the 65 are over 10 to 15 years old, and they are lacking review, so that's the intent of this report.
Any questions, comments on that, Councillor Tanaka?
Could this review be lumped in with the bylaw review committee? Or are they two separate issues?
Currently, there are two separate issues. At the last bylaw review committee, I suggested to the committee that if they wish to expand the mandate, then they could request council amend the terms of the mandate for the committee, but currently there's no mandate for that committee to deal with policy.
And I know we have a whole bunch of bylaws that are in similar states too, so we need to get, you know, a review of those happening also. Councillor Stenhouse?
So who exactly is gonna be reviewing these? Is this, these town policies, is this gonna be council reviewing these?
Of course, council eventually has to adopt the policies, but again, they're driven through a staff process. Because a lot of them are very technical in nature, dealing with operational issues, but any of the policy issues, and I'll use that word loosely because some of these policies are not policies, they're procedures. So we'll be sorting out what is a procedural issue versus what's a council policy as we bring them back to council for adoption.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to item 8.2, it's the addendum, development variance. Get a motion on this one.
John, would you mind muting yourself, just because that, I don't know.
There, thank you. So are you making the motion there?
No,
Oh,
I am,
she's making the motion.
who is, sorry?
I am.
Oh, sorry, okay.
That council request that the land use bylaw amendment regarding variances related to the site coverage be prepared.
All right. Thank you for that. And I'll turn it over to our CEO to give us some more information on this, given that we've just received it and hadn't had a lot of time to review it.
Sure, I'll speak again through the chair to the motion that's on the floor. If that's the motion that stands, that means this request from the applicant would have to be stood down and would cause timing delays. Because we would have to report back on the motion that you have put on the floor. The reason it's here, last week, it's been an ongoing discussion through Development Authority and our planning services in terms of issues related to the proposed building on these proposed development sites. So fundamentally, the current land use bylaw only allows 40% coverage. There is no exceptions in the variance rules in our current bylaw, but I, as the development officer, have latitude. I'm asking for input from council, whether they wish to support the latitude that I'm afforded, or wish, as your motion has suggested, a formal review of the bylaw and undertaking to allow it to proceed. If that's the case, it can't be dealt with tonight by council. So I would strongly recommend the council that both motions that our administrators recommend action be put on the floor Otherwise, the motion as it stands, will require a further report back to council and the municipal planning commission.
So there's, if I'm understanding all of this, there's, people that want to develop on those, properties. They are wanting to build homes that cover 45% of the lot and not 40% of the lot. And if we go to amending the bylaw, that is going to delay those developers by a month or more. And the suggestion is to, for council to give authority for that to go ahead. And then number two, request that the bylaw be amended to give some of that latitude in the future. Because the bylaw does not allow for that extra land or that extra discretion to the, so that's really the question. Are we gonna hold it up versus, now are we, just to be clear, when we're talking this, all of the other, not variances, but all of the other property requirements, setbacks, those sorts of things are being met. It's just the percentage of land covered.
Correct. So again, I'm just asking for council's input, because council doesn't have the role, it's the municipal planning commission that has the role to ultimately decide. So it's either it goes to the municipal planning commission. I'm just asking input whether council would support my position as the development officer that this proceed and the variance be accepted at this point. But I would be reporting back to amendments in the future to bring them in compliance with the variances in the bylaw.
And that would delay this by probably at least 2 months, that's well into the building season, that might
That
understand.
would not delay it, councillor. If council concurs, I would just proceed as the development officer.
Yes, but the way the motion stands right now, it would delay things by a couple of months.
That would be correct.
Right, and then, I'm of the understanding, it sounds like they want to start developing this right away.
That's correct.
Okay, so then that really eats into the building season hugely.
Councilor Martins?
So Bill, having just seen this now, what can you speak to any implications from 40% coverage to 45%? Is there some big thing that we should be aware of there?
I think with any of these, through the chair again, it all depends on the overall lot size to begin with. So these are smaller lots than are in other lots that are in Cornerstone development. So that's compressing the available land space. Obviously, that the bigger parcel, it wouldn't be an issue. But this is to get quality homes, given the built form the applicant's suggesting, it would move up the coverage from 40 to 45%, which isn't a big, huge variance. And as the mayor has indicated, and I've confirmed, all other items related to the site development are in accordance with the planning requirements for our 2 zones. So from my perspective, and from our professional planner's perspective, this still meets the criteria of good planning. It's not impacting the neighbors. It's not devaluing adjacent properties. So on those basic planning principles, there is no downside for this not proceeding. Again, when the variances were granted a few years ago in 2022, it was probably an oversight not to include site coverage. Everything else was amended. The only thing that was missed was site coverage. So in my opinion, it was an oversight in 2022, and that is not a reason to hold up a quality development from happening.
Dr. James.
Councilor Martin, or,
A little bit taller?
yeah, a little bit taller, yeah.
just so I'm clear, this is the development that is behind DW Pratt there, right? Kind of,
That's correct.
okay. That's sat empty for long enough, in my opinion.
Councillor Stenhouse?
Okay, I cannot see by the motion I've made how this is negative. Council requests that the land use bylaw amendment regarding variances related to the site be prepared. So let's move forward. How is this a negative impact? Where's the negative in that motion?
Well,
Or could it be worded so that,
The downside is, be prepared means we have to go through a public process, advertise amendments to the bylaw, prepare the amendments, and that will take some time. So whether it's 4 weeks or 6 weeks in that range, that's the time delay. The proponent isn't here to speak to the application, but they've made it clear to myself as the development officer, they're ready to hit the ground right now and wish council or the development authority to allow this variance to happen.
and how long till the development authority will approve this?
So there's a process in which I just outlined of preparing the amendments to the bylaw, advertising the bylaw for a minimum of 2 weeks, so we can get public input, calling a meeting of the municipal planning commission. So there'll be a time delay.
Okay, so if we move to the first recommendation, that council provide input to the development authority, how long will that take?
That happens tonight.
Because I was gonna say, why not give them the approval, and if they have any issues, they can go through the subdivision appeal board. Would that speed up the process?
No, that would actually further delay the process because they would be now bringing forward an application that is not in accordance with the bylaw.
The way to make it faster, the fastest way to do it, Councillor Stenhouse, is to provide the development authority, the authority to allow that variance. And the second part of the motion is to correct the oversight that was that in 2022.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right?
I guess to be blunt, I don't need council authority to allow the development application to proceed. I don't want to be criticized at the next council meeting. They're acting independently. So I'm asking for input tonight from council. If council generally nods and says they support that, then I'm likely not to be criticized.
Is it, can I provide some input? Is that possible? Because I know
Well,
firsthand what's going on. And what it is, in terms of the lot coverage, there's some confusion as to whether the decks are part of the structure or they're not. So we did the size of the house, if you exclude the decks, it falls within the 40%. There's conflicting feedback as to whether in that development, the deck is part of the main structure. If we had to shrink it down, it's just a matter, because we're working on this first, which is a matter of changing the deck configuration. So that's where the confusion lies. That's why we're 45%. We're 44.5 on a 40% coverage.
Again, not to
I know.
cross debate, but the development authorities in support of the application. How those calculations are done, they're done consistently, not to favor how a deck is configured. Some decks are attached to the house, some aren't. This one will be attached to the house, so under the planning rules, it falls in, the calculation works its way out. So the development authority is basically saying, I support this moving forward. Unless council strongly opposes that view, then you default to recommendation 2, which means it delays. If you,
I think there's two things. So one, I just look around, does anybody not support this development going ahead at 45%? Is there anybody that would say no?
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Just maybe elementary my understanding, thank you for your explanation, Ron, but where did MMSA, the planner, just arbitrarily pick 40% at some point in the past? Or why that number 40%?
It all relates to good planning principles, overall good planning principles. So from the good planning principles, that given the lot size and areas of these lots, that would be an appropriate measure from a professional perspective. That does not mean council could not change it, but that means you could have houses that have little separation. This is a low density neighborhood. It requires certain spatial differentials between neighbors. That 40% provides that good planning.
Precisely, and the next part of my question then is there any, those setbacks are set for fire hazards, is there any hazard if we want 45%?
No, because the balance of the application is in full compliance of all those other things that are allowed in the variances, setbacks, whatever. So again, going back to the amendment that was done in 222, I believe it was an oversight that was not, site coverage was not dealt with as a variance. So McKinsey Planning Services and the Development Officer are recommending the council that a further amendment be made to correct it for future application.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So when you talk about the development authority, who or what is that? Is that MMSA?
No, that's me.
Okay, development authority is you. What was the application date of this, from this developer?
I don't have that in front of me.
Last week, a month?
I was made aware of this issue last Thursday. Hence the report being tabled tonight at the council meeting.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask again, is there anybody really against seeing, an allowance of going to 45%? I don't see anybody that would be against that. So my next question is though, but I would also like to see that this oversight is corrected in the land use bylaw. And I would like to make a motion so we don't lose that.
We have a motion.
Yes, no, I'm just.
Yeah, we're
we
getting
still-
it all straight.
We'll get it all straight and we're on the same page and then we'll deal with the motion and stuff. But I'm just wondering if we approve that motion, would that, at this point in time, would that set back this? You're saying that?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing, but can we word it in such a way that that future land use bylaw be amended or something like that so that we can make sure that we adjust the bylaw for the future and it's not lost. That's what I guess I'm getting at. Like, I think everybody agrees that yes, we would support going to 45% in this situation.
So,
But,
not to interrupt the chair, but if that motion was just made that council supports the position of development authority, that moving this application from 40 to 45% is supported.
Okay. And then we could make the second motion.
And make the second motion.
Okay. So we had you made the motion.
Yeah.
Would you be prepared to amend your motion for number one, saying that we support?
I would like to completely decline it and start all over.
Okay.
So
You're withdrawing your motion.
Yes, I'm withdrawing it.
Okay. So would anybody like to start off with a motion to support the amendment to 45%? Councilor Martins.
So moved, Mayor.
Okay. Now, Bailey, did you catch that? Okay, we're moving that council supports moving to a variance of 45% for this development. We would support that. What's that? Of lot cover, 45% of lot coverage.
Should probably say the cornerstone development. So we're clear.
In the Cornerstone development. Any questions on that motion? No? All in favor? John heard all of that, right? You got the gist of it, good. Now, so we don't lose that, Councillor Stenhouse, did you want to make your motion that you made previously, and then we'll have that as a follow-up? No?
No,
No, okay.
I want to think about that.
I'll make it.
Okay, so,
Council requests that a land use bylaw amendment regarding variances related to site coverage be prepared.
Councillor Dunn, did you catch that motion? No. Yeah, okay, the motion is that council requests that a land use bylaw amendment regarding the variances related to site coverage be prepared. So the future land use bylaw will give some variance of whatever percent, we'll call it 5% to the development officer, and then he can deal with these sorts of things in the future. Because the current bylaw does not allow for that to happen. Any discussion on this one?
Yes, would you like to say in that motion that the site coverage be prepared for adjustments, or no? To allow adjustments?
If I could through the chair, that would create additional complexities in preparing an amendment to the land use bylaw. So there will be a further report coming back if that motion of administration's recommended. And then council can consider it then, but at least to allow the report to be prepared on a basis that allows further decision points of council. That wording would sort of restrict what the administration could bring back significantly.
Yeah, variances covers it.
All right, any other questions on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried.
Worship?
Yes,
May I suggest a bio break?
you're ready for a bio break. All right,
Great.
we'll take a 10-minute recess.